Hey everyone, welcome to the Homeschool Podcast, where you're going to learn everything about homeschooling and how the great discovery can help you on that journey. I'm joined today, of course, by my co host, Alex Hitt. Alex, so great to have you here. And Mr. D is in the house. Dennis DiNoia is here to share all of his wisdom and some of the courses that he has on the great discovery. Alex, I wanted to start with you. Tell us, are you excited about what's today like for you? It's Friday. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have Mr. Dennis on the podcast because he's one of our really, really amazing homeschooling teachers, one of our children educators, kids educators on the Great Discovery platform, has a massive background in education and is also working directly with the Great Discovery, is, hand in hand with the Great Discovery. So he's not only an expert at homeschooling and educating children, but also an expert at the Great Discovery. So just super excited to have Dennis on. Dennis, welcome. Thank you for being here. How's your day going, Dennis?
Oh, it's great. It's really great. I'm glad it's Friday. Let me say that. So it's been quite a week, but it's great, and I'm excited to be here with you guys.
And it was your birthday last week. You were in Puerto Rico, and now you're over is it Spain?
In Madrid.
Madrid. Wow.
Yeah. So a little bit of a time change, but all good. So I'm here just about half the year. I'm in Puerto Rico half the year, and then from time to time I'm doing different conventions for homeschool events. So I'm in the U.S. from time to time for events like that too.
Yeah. And you've been not only teaching for a long time, but you've also been involved in the Great Discovery for a while now too. So can you give us a little bit of can you kind of lay the ground here for us as far as the Great Discovery and homeschooling, right? Hear directly from you, Dennis. Why is the Great Discovery such an amazing platform for homeschoolers, who are looking to educate their children?
Alex, that's a great question that has, like if you could do a drop down and hit all the different ways to answer that question, there's a drop down for this, right? So, when I first heard about the Great Discovery, a really, really good friend of mine, Greg Hartman, who has been part of the Great Discovery for really since the beginning. And he contacted me and he said, man, you have got to check this program out. So, so I came on, took a look at it. I met with the owners, Tim and Sandra, and I think Sandra got to have some time with you guys in one of your prior episodes. And, when I saw what they were doing, I got really excited, especially because I came in, they were talking about the platform and being able to bring in content creators and people with the ability to build courses. But really what got me interested in the Great Discovery was the course, The Great Discovery. And I was really curious about that. We started looking at, what does it look like to use the Great Discovery with the Six Sigma training and the different things? Because, in education, that's not in a traditional education track of what the Great Discovery is and how it works, and really having people work on their core values and their milestones and their paths and, all the different things that the Great Discovery does. And it's a proven method, but they've now got it in a format that young people can do it. So elementary age kids can do it with the Bentley book series, which is really cool. But then they did a teen program. And so the last teen program we did, I actually brought some of our students in to do the teen program because we wanted to see what was it like for homeschoolers. And my daughter was in it. We had a few of other, some of our staff, that we have some teen staff members that came in, and they loved the course and it was great. And, the thing that they kept saying was they came back and they said, the thing that the Great Discovery did for them was it had them look at the future as to where they were headed. And oftentimes young people, they're doing their thing and they're kind of moving forward. They don't really know what that path looks like, and they're not identified with a mission and where they're up to and what it is that they see as a vision for themselves, is where they're heading in life. And the Great Discovery as a course started to do that. And then, of course, with the Great Discovery launching the platform to bring in other course creators, that was when I thought, first of all, I've been doing this for a long time, so I could bring in some of our own content, but be able to work with and support other course content creators in bringing more courses onto the platform. So, when you look at this, there's all of that. And then what happens is then you start looking at, this isn't just something that we can do in the US or something where it's English speaking only, because I started looking at what would it be like to have my courses myself be able to be viewed, heard in their own native language across the world. So we get to have that more global presence. So I know that was like one question you had, but a lot of different ways to answer it. But everything from the core course of the Great Discovery to the platform of what we're making available to young people, as well as adults out there. And then that we can do it globally, and we're able to do the translations and be able to communicate with people all over the world. I love all of that. And I think it's where we're headed in education.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that like strikes a chord in me, right? Because we want education. We want to make it available to so many people. And whether it's adults learning to children learning, and make courses available that they wouldn't get elsewhere. So the Great Discovery, I mean, that was the start of it, the Six Sigma program. And you said, when you said that about like the teens or the younger people who are going forward and they don't know where they want to go. But the key to that is they don't know how to get to where they want to go. They don't know where to start, how to begin. What even is that for them? Like, that's where I think they get held up the most. And having the Great Discovery, having that Six Sigma programming available, that'll help them figure that out, the roadmap that'll then put that road in front of them, that they know where they need to go. That's tremendous, because I have a 22-year-old that's like, I don't know what I want to do yet. And I'm just like, why are you not taking this course? I bought it. Go take this course. Now I'm going to be hounding him to do so, because it's true. They don't even know where to start. And this gives them that starting place and really leads them in the right direction. So powerful.
Bree, when as you're saying that, one of the ideas of the Great Discovery, because as it started, it was just the Great Discovery course, and it was people just getting, engaged in that. But just like you said, it's like, okay, so let's say that people figure out what their life path is and where they're headed. Then what do they do? And that's what launched the idea of building the LMS system, so that we could bring more courses on the platform. Because now what do? Now you've got your place where you kind of have a direction, you know what you want to do, but how do you get the training? And so that's what we're able to do by bringing in course content creators to bring in the different skill sets of a lot of different professionals out there, to bring courses in that it's like, hey, if you're interested in photography, great, there's a course in photography. If you're interested in law enforcement, there's a course in law enforcement. And I get to review a lot of the courses that come in. So it's kind of cool, because I'm watching all the new cool things that come in. Alex, you did a thing on TikTok that I thought was absolutely extraordinary. And it was like, because, a lot of times people are like, oh, I want to, use social media, but they don't know how. Right. And they might find, well, this is how I want to forge my way and to get known, and or to find out about how they can, present their own ideas. But this is what the Great Discovery platform does, is that we create that pathway, and then we've got all the courses in the background to help them be able to fulfill on getting educated in what it is that they're up to.
And then you tie in the voice translation, right? So it's not only that, children can learn on all these different subjects, constantly expanding. You see, Dennis, new courses submitted all the time but that we can then translate those courses, not just the text or not just, a dub, but their real voice. So now children all over the world, I mean, that's something that's so inspiring to me and Bree, is that global classroom, that we can truly educate children all over the world, no matter what language they speak, in places where they've never had access to this type of information before. They haven't had this selection, this massive selection of courses in their native language, right? So can you talk a little bit about that, Dennis, and kind of that global mission of the Great Discovery?
Absolutely. One thing about, as you were saying, like, it's translated in our voice. And so I put together a demo reel where I think they translated me in, 7 different languages. So my daughter speaks 4 languages fluently. And so she speaks, English, obviously, but then French, Italian, and Spanish. And when I showed her the demo reel that I had, and I said, honey, take a look at this and tell me, because I don't speak those languages. And she looked at me, she goes, how did you do that, Dad? She goes, your accent was good. Your lips were moving the right way. She goes, it sounds like you speak those languages, right? And I was like, perfect. That's what we're after. And, so as we start looking at what becomes possible on the global front, and for me, it's kind of a two-way street, because I know that there's going to be people in other countries that don't speak English, but they want to learn about even the way that we do things here, where we, our math programs and how we do things from my own background. So they want to learn from what we do, and we can do it in their language. But for me, I want to be able to learn about other cultures. And I think young people want to get that world of other cultures as well. So someone speaking in their native language can then translate it back to English for me so that I can understand from their language as well. So it's, it's that two-way run that we really have this opportunity to not just be inside the window of how we look at things through the eyes of being, if you happen to live in the US, about what it looks like because you live in the US, what things look like, but what does it look like from a global view, and getting other people's perspectives from where they live. And I know for me, because I do travel a lot and I am outside of the US quite a bit, it was eye-opening for me. And I've been on the road now doing this for about 10 years and noticing how different things are in Europe compared to how things are in the US. And it has made me much more a global citizen, and having much more, I don't want to use the word respect, but the awareness is a better word. An awareness for the European culture, awareness for the American culture, seeing where the things are that we have similarities and seeing where things are different, and noticing that neither one is right or wrong or good or bad. It's just noticing that being in different cultures, we have different ways of looking at things. And it's just awesome to be able to see that and to give that to young people, to give that to parents, to give that to everybody all over the world. That's a gift.
That's exciting to me. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. A global classroom is where it's at, but you really nailed it when you said global citizen. I think that's what, we need to create in this world, global citizens that understand, appreciate, and just make this world a better place. That's my goal through podcasting. I think that if we have people around the world sharing their message and their hopes and their dreams and their passions, we have a better understanding. And so I want to teach everyone how to podcast. That's my personal mission, but doing it through the Great Discovery is unbelievable. I've already had it translated into Spanish, and my friend who is an interpreter in the Spanish language, she saw it. She was blown away because she said it not only does it get the accent right and the way your mouth moves and all of that, but it gets the speech patterns right. It's the way they speak. It really does go above and beyond anything she'd ever seen before. And so mind blowing. And I want to see more of it. And I want to see that in a classroom. I want to see that with kids learning, because textbooks don't always do that. Reading something doesn't do that. But when you can see a kid your age, things that they're doing around the world and what their days look like and what their experiences are like, that just makes the world a better place. I don't even know how else to explain it, but it gets me excited. I love that.
Well, imagine you're a student in Mumbai learning robotics from somebody who speaks Japanese, but it's translated into Hindi so you can understand it. Or you're a child in America learning about Egyptology or learning about ancient Egypt from somebody in Egypt who speaks Egyptian. I mean, that is like what the Great Discovery enables, and that's just incredible. I mean, that's just amazing. Dennis, you're a really interesting guy. I mean, you have a lot of courses up on the platform. I want to dive into some of these courses, but before we do, could you give us a little bit of background on Mr. D and your education career and how long you've really been, out there educating people, and give us a little history and background on you, and then we'll dive into your courses.
You bet, man. So in a nutshell, right, I'm an old timer in education. So I started teaching in 1988. So, 35 plus years into the industry. I left the classroom. I was a public school teacher, but I left the classroom to get into the world of homeschooling. And I started developing homeschool programs starting in 2010. And we've been going nonstop ever since then. And so our homeschool programs are, throughout the U.S. and we work with a lot of students around the U.S. And we have multiple kinds of courses for kids that are available. And so, as a course creator, it was really what ended up happening was I was, as a school teacher, for other school teachers that are out there, you'll understand when I say this, is like we all needed a second job, because that first job as a classroom school teacher didn't always pay enough money to get all the bills paid. So I was always doing tutoring on top of what I was always doing as a classroom teacher. And I started working with homeschool kids. And one of the moms said to me, she said, listen, she said, you are so good at this. She said, would you please just write your own curriculum? And that's when it started for me in 2010. And I found video editing software and got trained in how to use it. And that was like, okay, I can do this now. So I started writing courses. So that's kind of like a transition, but it really was by a request of a homeschool mom that said, please write your own course. And it was something I always wanted to do. So those courses have now, we've been working with our home education programs now since 2010. And, our students are everywhere from Florida to Alaska and even outside the US. So that's my background. I've been at this for a while and, feel good about the opportunity of having that classroom experience, but then also as being on the other side of things about creating content and creating courses and then seeing, what works and what doesn't work for students so that we can always refine, which is why we do it online. Because if we see something that's not working, we can update it. It's online and everybody gets the update all at one time. They don't have to wait for the next year of a textbook to come out with the new print in it. We can update it right away and kids have access to it, which is, perfect for them, especially because we want to stay current with what's current in today's world.
Yeah, you highlighted it, Dennis, of, the world is changing so fast with AI and the job market isn't what it was and people transition jobs so much. But I want to ask you, you're tapped into that homeschooling market. Homeschooling parents and children, they face unique challenges, right? So can you talk to us kind of a little bit about the challenges that homeschoolers face and maybe how the Great Discovery can kind of assist with that and help with that?
Sure. I think one of the things that homeschool families run into more than anything, because, I go to several of the homeschool conventions around the United States. And, one of the things that I see, especially with new homeschool families. So if you're a new homeschool family out there, you'll know what I'm talking about if you've ever walked into a convention, and it's overwhelming because there's so many curriculums and so many vendors and there's so many different approaches to homeschooling and how to homeschool. And what happens with a program and a platform like the Great Discovery is that you can come on the platform and you can start to see a lot of different things all at one place. So instead of going from booth to booth to booth to see, okay, here's my math curriculum, here's my science curriculum, and here's the next thing. But the Great Discovery has everything there. And the Great Discovery has something that a lot of things we don't have at the homeschool conventions, which are those, if you think about the courses that you take beyond your core curriculum. And those are going to be the things that Bree was talking about. What are you interested in? Those career path kind of things. And the Great Discovery is an amazing platform for people to be able to come on the platform, look and see what you're interested in so that you can start to really kind of gauge in and hone in on those things that you're interested in. So for homeschool families, when you come on the platform, you get an array of programs that are out there and you're not just kind of going from vendor to vendor to vendor where you have to stop at each one. On the Great Discovery, it's all there at the same time.
That's so smart. I love that. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the true things. I was lucky enough back earlier in my career to work with the 3M Wizards, and we were exciting kindergarten through second grade with science. And that was their thing. They wanted to, teach these kids new ways and get excited because we never know who that next brilliant scientist is going to be. And if you can nurture that when they are younger, offer that extra curriculum, offer the things that you wouldn't see in mainstream schooling or even in homeschooling, those extra things. Plus, we've seen so many things that have happened in regular schools, in the mainstream schooling, where the programs have been cut. They don't have an art department. They don't have a music department. They may not even have a sports department. There's so many things that they don't have access to. So not only homeschooling, but for all schooling for kids, there's this incredible opportunity to learn more things and expose your children as they are deciding the path they want to be on. And you just want to give them a buffet and see what they like, and then start nurturing those things that they do like so that they can, further their education in that. And I love that about the Great Discovery, because there is opportunity for so many different things. Plus we have the brilliance of the Great Discovery saying, we're even going to have a login that's just for kids so that we can keep them in a safe space. And that can't be emphasized enough, how important that is, that we're the only platform that's doing that gives them their own space to log into amongst a marketplace of courses. So for me, it's incredible.
Well, we want to be able to, give our children that education, right, in a space that's just for them. That's advertisement free. I mean, you can send them to YouTube, but then there's all these advertisements and it's really entertainment based. This is really about the education and about educating, about creating passionate, independent learners. And that kind of leads us into one of the courses I wanted to highlight, Dennis, here to start, to kind of highlight some of the courses on the Great Discovery, which is your Teach course. So Bree, if you want to bring it up, it's the Teach Creating Independently Responsible Learners, which is kind of what we're talking about here. Dennis, can you talk to us a little bit about this? This is a course that you have up on the Great Discovery. This is a Genius Club course. So if you have a Genius Club membership, you can download this complimentary. Dennis, give us an explanation, a little insight into this course.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a book that I wrote. And what I did with the book was I did the audio transcription for the book as well. And what I wanted to do in The Great Discovery is the idea of the book is really about really looking at what is the idea of creating an independently responsible learner. And one of the things that I think in education that I think sometimes gets missed is that when we look at what's the goal that we want for kids, like more than anything. And, time and time again, and I hear from parents, I hear from other educators, I hear even from kids, what they really want to be able to do, what we want for our kids. I know I want this for my own kids, is that they can work on their own, that they can be independent, they can problem solve, and they know how to find answers to things. And so, 35 years of working in education, it is a book about the experiences that I've had as a classroom teacher, also experiences I've had in the homeschool industry, and the things that I found that work in really developing what we call the independently responsible learner. And self-directed learning is another way to say that as well. So the course is set up so that you can go through. It's by chapter, and you can skip around, finding things that are most important to you. There's probably my favorite chapter in there is, doing what you love to do. It's a whole chapter on how to do that. But there's also a chapter on test taking skills, but there's a chapter in there on goal setting, a chapter in there as well. If kids are in there and they're looking at presenting themselves. So that's one of the things, one of the trend in education that I love is project-based learning. And one of the things is about having kids present their work. And so there's a whole chapter in there on how to do that, and how to do that for as well as very, very young kids up through your older teens as well.
Wow. Amazing course. And yeah, I mean, that's really insightful, Dennis, that the goal for parents and even for children is to be independent in their learning, be able to learn what they want to learn. And the Great Discovery makes that possible, right? Because we have this smorgasbord, this huge variety, this ever expanding catalog of content where you can literally learn on any subject in any language, at any skill level, from any instructor, all over the world. So that's super exciting. I love this course. And
cool.
This is part of the Genius Club. So the Genius Club is kind of like our Amazon Prime or our Kindle Unlimited. You get that membership and you get access not just to this Genius level course, but all the different Genius level courses on the Great Discovery platform. So if you want to be a genius, definitely got to sign up for the Genius Club. Let's move on. Let's go to another course here, Dennis. Like I said, you're a really interesting guy. This is a really interesting course. I might have to take this one myself. This is flamenco guitar level 1. And this is a really interesting course. Is this for children? Can children take this, or is this maybe one for adults?
No, this is absolutely, well, let me say it this way. This course was designed for young people, and adults can take it. So let's say it like that, right? So I'm actually here right now. I'm in Spain, and we came over as a homeschooling family back in 2015. And my son is he's 19, and I get to brag about my kids, right? So my son just got cast in his first professional flamenco dance company. So it's a brand new company here in Madrid. I'll get to see his first performance here in October. I'm so excited about that. But while he's also a pretty good musician, and so while he was doing his dance, he was studying piano at a conservatory in Valencia, Spain. And we met a flamenco guitar teacher that was just extraordinary. And so he is also the music director for the National Ballet of Spain. So just super high-end guitar player. And so we asked him, we said, hey, what do you think about doing a course? And so my son is actually in the videos with the instructor. His name is Diego. I don't even think I could pronounce his last name, but Diego's going through and he's teaching flamenco guitar. So it's a whole different style of playing guitar. And so the lessons are there designed to show you how to hold the guitar, how to strum the guitar. It's a little bit different in terms of like how they play the chords. And so Diego's showing you what it sounds like as a true professional, and my son is doing it as a learner. So you kind of get both worlds, and then there's exercises in there for kids to go through, and adults as well, but for kids to go through as they're learning guitar. So it's really getting those basic fundamentals about what flamenco guitar is and how it works.
Wow.
That's amazing. I
Yeah,
love
it's
that.
cool.
Yeah, I'm like, that's so cool. Guitar is like so hard. Any stringed instrument for me just is so hard. But now I'm gonna have to check this out because 12 years classical piano, I like to know where the keys are and know where to hit the chords. With guitar, there's so much more that goes into how you're strumming things, how your fingers are set up. So this is really intriguing to me. And to see this, in the flamenco style. And man, are you lucky, and congratulations to your son.
Yeah, it's
How
really great.
awesome.
And I tell people that's what homeschooling makes possible, is that we were able to, pick up and come to another country. And we did our homeschooling from here when the kids were little. And, they've just grown up with a whole different, appreciation and view for the world. It's been really awesome for them.
Well, can you tell us a little bit more about that, Dennis? That's super fascinating. I mean, I think that's something that parents really want to do, is maybe travel a little bit more, but they feel like, oh, the kids got to be in school and they got to do the school, and now, especially with the internet and the great discovery and how that is, it makes homeschooling possible, not just from your home currently, but from literally anywhere in the world. So how did that work for you? I mean, that must have been a transition, right? Can you tell us a little bit more?
It was definitely a transition. It was like one of those things, we came over here. My kids were 8 and 10 when we left. We were in Florida, and we left Florida at the time. We told them, it was like, okay, guys, here's how it's going to work. You get to take one check bag, one carry-on bag, and that's it. Right. So there was that purge. Right. And so you think about, especially kids, like, they're like, what toys am I going to bring? So it was just interesting, the whole process of that. But coming over here, one of the things that we did was, we maintained the kids being registered through the home state, and by being registered through the home state, they could still travel as homeschoolers, and they could still like study abroad. They were still registered through the U.S. and doing their courses that way. But we were able to do all our homeschooling from here in Spain, and so we were between two cities, from Valencia, and then came over to Madrid. And we actually came to Madrid because my son got moved from a dance conservatory in Valencia, and he got asked to come to Madrid and be in the in their top conservatory that was here. So does it take something? Yes. Now, because I know one thing people always talk about is the language, right? I am not a Spanish speaker. And my kids to this day cannot figure out how I am able to maneuver around and manage, to be able to not speak the language and still get around. And this was so great. Now we've got the great discovery and tools and translation and things like that. It's getting even easier to do that. But, don't let the language get in your way. And if you want to have an adventure like that, all that comes down to is saying, you know what, this is what we're going to do. And I promise you'll work it out. So, it's worked out really great for our family. There's all kinds of things about, how you can have residency in other countries, which we've gone through that process as well. And it's not difficult to do. So yeah, paperwork, right? But the experience is so worth it.
And do you think that, I mean, I can assume, but do you think that had a transformative and positive effect on your children being able to leave Florida and experience culture? I mean, obviously your son really likes it. He's a flamenco dancer. Your daughter still lives there. But do you think that really aided, and helped them on their learning journey and becoming, the amazing adults they are now?
Absolutely, without a doubt. So my daughter is 17. As a 16-year-old, at Christmas time, she goes, I think I'm ready for college. I said, okay, honey, let's go through your transcript and see where. And she had enough credits to graduate high school. So she applied on her own. She applied to a college here in Madrid. She got accepted. She got a scholarship. And she, as a 17-year-old, she started college this week on Monday. So it was Labor Day in the States, but here in Spain, they don't recognize Labor Day. So that was her first day at school. So here she is as a college student in Madrid, but she really wants to spend time in Paris. And so the campus, the college actually is based in Tampa, Florida, but they have campuses in Germany, Paris, France, and here in Madrid. And so she wants to end up in Paris. And when you look at what living abroad does for you, is gives you that global view. For her, she's studying international business. She speaks 4 different languages, right? And she's 17. And you think about what does her future look like? And really what it comes down to is whatever she wants it to be. So, when you have the opportunity to do that from the world of homeschooling that we gave our kids an opportunity they would have never had they been in public school. So, do I recommend it? Without a doubt. And I work in the industry. So, it's kind of like a no-brainer, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Oh my
Right.
gosh. Like, yeah, anything she wants, right? That's huge.
I have to have a talk with. Go ahead, Dennis.
Well, as you say, what's funny is how this even started for her was we were here in Valencia and we took a cruise. And so, cruising in Spain is really cool because you can go to all these different countries and you can pretty much do the Mediterranean, see a lot of different things. The cruise director came out and said hello in 7 different languages. Now, my daughter was 8 years old and she looked at me and she goes, "Dad, I want to be that." And I said, "What do you mean, honey?" She goes, "I want to be that guy." And I said, "You want to be a cruise director?" She goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, why?" She goes, "Because he just said hi in 7 languages. I want to do that." I was like, awesome, right? So that's what got her interested in languages, was being around it and looking and seeing where it was like it was possible. And I think that's one of the things that we, think about the great discovery is like, what does it make possible in your life? And that was one of the things for her, is like being here and being in, being where we're living abroad, that she saw something was possible and she took it on. And here she is, 17, kind of living that life. But it kind of went back to her being 8 years old and saying, "I want to be a cruise director on a cruise ship," right? But it was really about the language.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And yeah, you're totally right. The great discovery just makes so many more things possible. And people can have that kind of transformative experience of learning from people or kind of meeting that cruise director, but now they can kind of meet that person on the great discovery in a language they can understand.
Absolutely.
So they can tap into that, global perspective. These people all over the world, and kids are uniquely fascinated with things that are foreign and outside of their, their immediate sphere. And they're really attracted to that. So that's something that also really inspires me about the great discovery, is that, kids can have that type of transformative experience, and maybe they're not, able to travel across the world with their parents and but they're able to do it from their home and in a homeschooling environment. So
it's a great start. That's step one, like finding out what's out there. And step 2 becomes, now how do I get there? So do you find that proven pathway? That's why we have a course called The Great Discovery, that you can actually develop what that pathway is. And kids are great because they look at the world that anything's possible. And I think sometimes us as adults, we kind of forget that, but young people, they still have that kind of that passion and that flair for really looking at, but I can do that too. And, so, being able to create those pathways and doing courses like The Great Discovery, it allows kids to be able to say, wow, this is my pathway and this is what I want to do. And oftentimes they're the ones that kind of lead the charge to open up something new, like taking something where you didn't think it was possible, and then turns out that it's totally possible. And here we are doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know Alex is bringing up another course. I want to get it up on screen.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of time left, but I want to get to a few more things. Alex, go ahead and let's graphs and statistics. Oh, that's scary to me.
Well, I mean, he is Mr. D, the math teacher. So we had to highlight one of his math courses, because the great discovery is about learning flamenco guitar and becoming an independent learner and learning from people all over the world, but also those hard skills, right? That math, that science, those things that you need to learn, those are also on the great discovery as well. So graph in statistics, micro course. Dennis, this is a 100% totally free course. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about this course here, Dennis?
Absolutely. So, what we were able to do is, because we have full courses, through our regular programs, but I can take sections of our courses that I think are going to be topics that are interesting to people, like this one being different kinds of graphs and statistics. So what's the difference between a bar graph and a line graph and a histogram and frequency distribution tables? And I know some people are like, okay, dude, you just went over my math pay level, right? But that's what we're talking about in this course, is how graphs work and how to interpret them, and how we use statistics in a graphical model, so that young people and moms and dads as well, that when you see graphs, you know how to interpret them. And that's what this is, why we call it a micro course, is because it's just a particular section out of one of our full courses. But that's why, as in the Great Discovery, we're launching in the process of getting ready to launch what we call our academy level, so that we can bring a course in like this that actually leads to an academy level where they can come in and find out about our entire course. So we call this a micro course because it talks about something from inside of one of our full courses. And if you like that course, then you can check out the whole thing from there. But it's a fun section. It's for me, Okay, I say it's a fun section. I'm a math geek. It's true. But I think it's something that's done in a way where, young people understand it, moms and dads can understand it, and it has them take away, like Bree said, you hear the word statistics, you hear the word graphs, and, your antenna goes up as I'm afraid of that. But we want to demystify that. We want to have you, have some success with it and feel comfortable with it. And so that's why the course is there. And it's totally free, because sometimes those things that seem a little challenging, we want to get those out there and get people using them so they can break down some of those barriers to be able to have some success in the world of statistics.
Love that. That's amazing. I love graphs. I know that sounds weird, but I like looking at graphs. I like analyzing graphs. Any math, I wasn't a big math person, but when math was visual, then I liked it. Then I was engaged. So love that. We're getting graphic. Not really, but Dennis. So those courses, amazing courses, Dennis, all the links are below to those courses, free courses, those genius level courses. We'll link some other courses. Dennis just has so many amazing courses up on the Great Discovery, and you can translate them, right? You can translate them into different languages and listen to them. So if you're not an English speaker, well, they're even available in other languages. So that is just awesome, Dennis. Dennis, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. We do have to wrap it up, but I want to give you a final kind of an opportunity here. If anything was left unsaid, or if you wanted to kind of give kind of a message out there to people interested in using the Great Discovery, homeschoolers, homeschooling parents, even educators, what would that be? And anything else you'd like to include?
The future of education is going to be in e-learning, and it's already here and it's not going anywhere. So, one of the things that I would say that I noticed about the Great Discovery is that they're at the forefront of what's coming in e-learning. So through the language translation and through the different pathways that we can deliver education and content, it's why I got interested in the Great Discovery. So, if you're interested in being part of something at the beginning, that 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, you look back and go, wow, I was here when this got started. This is the time to get involved, because we are onto something, and we're going to be doing something that's, we're kind of like the first to bring this kind of education to the world. Other people are going to come along and do it, but we want to be there and at the forefront of that. And that's what has me so interested in the Great Discovery, because we're always looking at from what's new and how we can bring what's new to everybody, so everybody has access to it. That would be it.
I love that. I love that. Absolutely. It is at the forefront. It is where we are finding things. It's here, and we are just doing the best that we can with it. And so the thing I want to say first, thank you, Mr. D. I love that. I love those kinds of names. It's for me, because it makes it already a really friendly, approachable conversation. And so you make people feel at home and welcome and easy to talk to and ask questions, which I think our kids do. They have a lot of questions, and the Great Discovery is a place to find a lot of answers. So the message to all the parents out there, to the educators, come join us at the Great Discovery. Come find out what we have to offer and help your kids discover their own greatness within them. And thanks all for being here today. Thanks, Alex. I'll let you take us out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, thank you, Dennis. Amazing podcast. We could just talk to Dennis and, for such a long time, such an interesting guy. And he has so many more courses on the Great Discovery that I'm definitely going to be diving into and recommending to anybody who's interested in homeschooling. But that is the end of the podcast today. We do this every single Friday. So if you're a homeschooling teacher, if you're a homeschooling parent, and you have something to share to other homeschoolers, to other homeschooling parents out there, we'd love to have you on the podcast and highlight you. And we also have another podcast called Discovering Greatness, which is more of a general overview. We're not just highlighting only homeschoolers. We're highlighting the entire platform and all the different adult courses and professional development courses and hobby courses and all the different courses on the platform. The Great Discovery is that place where you can go to find any course on any subject, any topic, in any language, for any age, for anybody, anywhere in the world. So, Dennis, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. For our audience, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.